This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on record UPI transactions in India giving boost to digital transactions. The participants are Sharad Kohli, Economic Analyst, and V. Ravi Kumar, AIR Correspondent.
Recent years have seen a technological revolution in governance in India. Government services have been slowly and steadily brought online, and today, last-mile delivery happens with a click of a mouse in seconds. Digital payments transactions have been consistently increasing over the last few years as a part of the Government of India's strategy to digitize the financial sector and economy. UPI, or Unified Payment Interface, which was launched in August 2016, has grown rapidly in the last 5 years and today comprises over 40% of all digital transactions in India. In December 2022, UPI clocked a record 782 crore transactions and close to 13 trillion rupees in value. To discuss the boost to digital transactions and record UPI transactions, we are joined by noted financial expert Sharad Kohli. Sharad, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Sharad, every Indian is making around 6 transactions on an average a month on UPI. How would you react to the stupendous success of UPI in India?
Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. The pace at which it has grown in the last 5.5 years, the spread it has shown across the country, the reach it has shown all through the geographical limits of the country is unimaginable. I remember when this was launched in 2016, there were people saying that this is going to probably be, who's going to understand this? This is going to be limited to a few people. And, this will only be used by some selective businesses who've got CFOs and who understand the complicated world of financial technology. But little did people know that this is going to become a household phenomenon. And I think the 13 trillion rupees, or 125.94 if I try and be precise in 2022, with 74 billion transactions. And, the growth is visible. I mean, we don't even need to go to 2016. You just have to compare it with 2021. In 2021, I remember there were 38 billion transactions, which was almost half this number. And the total quantum of money or the transactions were 71.54 billion rupees. So from 71.54 billion rupees to almost 125.94 trillion rupees, I think this shows the scale and this shows the kind of reach which UPI has. I think we need to compliment National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI, who's managing this whole affair. And above all, the finance ministry, who took the initiative. And then we should not forget the banks who have participated in this whole phenomena, in this whole revolution, I would say. Today, you buy a coconut, a tender coconut at a roadside stall, and the guy says, why don't you make UPI payment? You are on this pay, you're on that pay, you're on this wallet, that wallet. And I think that, where the change came, because UPI initially was confined to a closely knit banking transfer system. I think the big revolution happened, Ravi, when this UPI system got linked to these payment wallets. Because this payment wallet scanning of the QR codes was going on. So both went on parallelly for some time. I think the big thing happened when both of them, they sort of came together. And we now find these wallets have integrated themselves into UPI, where another new thing which has happened is then people don't keep money in wallets. All they do is they just link their wallet to the UPI platform, and you just need to switch on the wallet and you are connected to UPI. So you don't even need to visit your site. I think this is also partly outdated, the online banking, if you ask me, because online banking, I remember there was a big push given to online banking a few years ago that, all banks used to encourage their customers that you should switch to online banking. You don't need to visit the bank. I think UPI has even put behind online banking. It has put behind the wallets. It has also put behind people's money remaining blocked in wallets because your UPI is simply connected to your bank account. So while the money is not lying in a wallet, we used to hear complaints from people that I had so much money in that wallet and, there's no customer care. I can't get access to that money and so forth. So we used to hear those things. Now the new phenomena which has happened is where you don't need to keep money in your wallet. The money can be safely lying in your bank account and you could easily transact through your wallet through the UPI mechanism. So I think all in all, Ravi, it has completely changed the whole dimension of making financial transactions in India, which is why you are seeing the kind of volumes that we just spoke about, Ravi.
So we are very clear that UPI has been a runaway success. The Government of India also launched the digital payment solution e-Rupee, which is a cashless and contactless instrument for digital payment. One, how has the response been to the e-Rupee? It's of course been done on a trial basis right now. and what potential does this initiative hold? And also explain to our listeners what is it, because they're already taken in by the various digital wallets, the various UPI apps. What is the difference between e-rupee and the digital wallets or the other UPI schemes like Bheem?
Oh yes, a very pertinent point there, Ravi. So what we witness in UPI today, what we witness in the digital transactions today, and if we put this in the retrospect, that is, we go back, let's say 5 years, where people used to think this is beyond our head, but then here we are, 5 years hence, we have moved into a different ball game altogether. I think e-rupee is going to do the same. So we are in an e-rupee stage today, where we were in a UPI or we were in this fintech revolution when it started happening 5 or 6 years ago. So probably 5 years from now, when we are talking in a similar way, we will be in a similar discussion that what change e-rupee has brought to the lives of people. Yes, I think that is the next big revolution which is waiting to happen. We've seen trial runs of e-rupee happening. First, it was tested on the wholesale platform. Then it was tested on the retail platform a few weeks ago, and there were some banks which were shortlisted to test it out. I think that is the next big phenomena, because you will not even need any wallet for that matter. But you may not even need UPI in the times to come, because all you need to do is you need to have a simple app where your money would be lying. Now, when I say money would be lying, money would not be lying in the bank. Money may not be lying in a wallet. Money may not be lying in any other platform. Money would be directly lying in your mobile phone or in your smart device. And this money will be like any other money which is lying in your pocket. They will all be carrying serial numbers. You will be able to see these notes as a picture on your device. And all you need to do is to punch the number or the ID of the person whom you want to pay. And there goes the money in a jiffy. The money reaches there. So from a e-rupee to e-rupee, you will be transacting from one person to the other. So that's my next concern, that we are talking of UPI today. We are talking of growing number of transactions on UPI. What happens when e-rupee comes? Because when e-rupee becomes a household name, I think we will move away from the era of platform-based digital transactions, because there will be no platform, because this e-rupee will be issued by Reserve Bank of India. It will be a legal tender. Simply the currency notes in your pocket would be replaced by an electronic form of rupee, and you will be able to transact. Now, the billion-dollar question, Ravi, here comes, that what role will the banks play in that scenario? Well, banks will be mostly used either for high-value business transactions or for parking your funds in the form of deposits, or if you've got large amount of money lying with you, you'll probably need a bank. You may not like to keep the entire money in your mobile system as an e-rupee. You may like to park it with your bank. So I think, so far as I'm aware, all the major banks in the country, the boardrooms are already busy discussing as to what will be our role, because the banks may assume a new role going forward. The evolution in the fintech world is happening so quickly that the innovation which was just done a few years ago outdates itself, and there is something new which comes up. So I think e-rupee is the next CBDC, as we call it, central bank digital currency. It's already been experimented in so many countries across the world, but I think India has been a torch bearer, and this experiment in India is going to go a long way in bringing this e-rupee to our smart devices. And I think that is the next big revolution.
You were mentioning that online banking or online banking apps, UPI took the shine away from online banking in the last 5 years, and you believe e-rupee has a similar potential to take the shine away from UPI over the next few years?
Oh yes, I think we should not have any regret if online banking today is fading away gradually. I mean, I won't say online banking is completely gone, but UPI is just so convenient, because all you needed to do was to punch in the mobile number. The moment you punch the mobile number, it shows the bank account of the person, your own bank account, and suddenly the money reaches there in a jiffy. So I think that is what I meant. I don't think either the founders of that system or the government or the users, no agency involved or no people involved will have any regret. Now tell me, does anybody has a regret for not issuing checks these days? I mean, checks are issued, but they're not as popular as they used to be. But I think nobody is regretting. We've saved a lot of paper. We've saved the headache of the charges being levied on the checks. And very important, the charges remind me, Ravi, before I forget, I must mention here that the government has been very sensitive about the charges of UPI. You know, that is how they have scaled to such a level, because people are literally paying no cost for UPI transactions. Either the costs are very, very minimal, you hardly observe any cost being levied, or there are no costs. I think this sensitivity of the government to make sure that the UPI transactions happen seamlessly and smoothly with the minimal or zero cost, I think has contributed to the scale that we are witnessing. And while saying that, we must not forget the JAM. the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile, the JAM phenomena, which has been the base, which has created the launch pad for the financial technology in India. If it was not for the over 40 crore Jan Dhan accounts, or if it was not for the Aadhaar, if it was not for over 60 crore mobile smartphones that are in the pockets of people, we would not have achieved the feat that we are talking right now. We would also not have been able to think of e-rupee. Imagine if these mobile phones were not there, and the internet users, I think the speed at which the internet users are growing because of these smartphones, I think has been a catalyst to the digital revolution which is happening in India, Ravi.
In fact, you mentioned a very important thing, that's about the charge. So there's a huge debate currently around charging for UPI. Like typically you have the MDR in credit cards. You do not have any charge in UPI. UPI is completely free. So how do you weigh in on this debate? Because the fintechs seem to be saying that unless you charge, you will not be able to scale up in a profitable manner, in a sustainable manner. Whereas the government, as you said, believes, at least till now, that it is important for UPI to be free. How do you weigh in on this debate?
I think, as I said earlier, that the fact that this has been free of charge or has been with very, very minimal charge, that has contributed. See, there is something in economics which we call as economies of scale. So I think if the transactions grow at that speed, the fintech founders or the fintech operators or the agencies involved will be in a position to make a very, very nominal charge which will hardly be felt. I mean, you won't feel the pinch of the charge. I think that is plus. We should also not forget that as these fintech platforms, they grow, it becomes a platform, it becomes a portal, it becomes an overall digital world, I would say. And that digital world finds other ways of revenues. Advertisement is one of them. There are a lot of financial services, financial products which get advertised. A lot of these fintech platforms have now become e-commerce platforms also. So I think the ways and means of earning revenues open up. As I said, necessity is the mother of invention. So as, they feel the need to generate more revenue with number of users growing, they find so many other ways of, this is the same as social media. When social media connected the people around the world, look at the ways and means through which social media platforms have started making money. So I think with the scale and the volume growing, new avenues of revenue generation open up. And this is constantly on the minds of these fintechs. And I'm sure there's a lot of work going on to see that where we charge a very, very nominal amount, and when the users are in hundreds of crores, even a very tiny amount charge adds up to a decent revenue for these fintech platforms going forward, Ravi.
So UPI currently has a limit of 2 lakhs and most banks actually don't go beyond 1 lakh. Why is the limit for UPI so low? And also, finally, if there are other things that the government must do to make the digital ecosystems even stronger and to boost digital transactions, what would those things be, Sharad?
See, the reason for UPI limit being kept at 2 lakhs is very simple because, you are dealing across platforms, you are dealing across banks, you are dealing across wallets. There are so many platforms. So when you are integrating these platforms together, the safety of transactions comes into picture. There have been cases of hacking. There have been cases of stolen passwords. So I think to give that protection because of interconnectivity of various platforms, I think a limit of 2 lakhs has been kept so that nobody gets swindled or nobody gets robbed digitally. That is the first point. But I think to substitute that, there is IMPS, there is NEFT which the banks have. You can always use these facilities for larger transactions. But I'm sure as we move forward, as the technology evolves, I think OTP has significantly changed the digital frauds. Ever since the OTP system came, so I think OTP has revolutionized the whole process of hacking, or it has significantly checked that aspect. So which is why, this 2 lakhs limit has been kept, but I'm sure going forward, the limit will be enhanced. As for what should government do, I think the system is evolving so quickly. All government needs to do is to create more firewalls. It should be a more protective environment where people can feel safe in transacting. So I think that is what is required to be done.
Right.
The moment the system becomes secure and safe, you will find these limits going up. You will also find larger transactions happening, more people joining without any fear, Ravi.
More firewalls and better cybersecurity, that is the prescription of our expert Sharad. Thank you, Sharad, for helping us understand the stupendous success of UPI.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You were listening to a discussion on record UPI transactions in India giving boost to digital transactions. The participants were Sharad Kohli, Economic Analyst, and V. Ravi Kumar, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.